The year was 1965 and the residents of TumbleDown Dick Valley decided they needed a bushfire brigade. In early 1966 a meeting was held with J. Brass as president and J. Hill as secretary, and subsequently a request was put to Warringah Shire Council to form a TumbleDown Dick bushfire brigade. A council meeting held on the 14th of March 1966 accepted the recommendation of the new brigade. A brigade meeting was then held where Frank Van Booker was elected as president, J. Brass was elected captain and E. Brand as deputy captain along with 8 other volunteers. TumbleDown Dick Bushfire Brigade was born. In the early days, the brigade operated with very little equipment. Most of what they did have was gathered from old bits of gear stored in people's homes. Thanks to E.J. Quinn, the Warringah Shire Fire Control Officer, the brigade eventually obtained its first tanker. It was an ex-sanitary tanker, an old Austin 2-wheel drive. Later in 1966, the Warringah Shire Council approved enough funds to build a 2-bay galvanised shed on a concrete slab located on council land on the corner of Tumburra Street and Wirianda Road. It was small but adequate. During the late 60s and early 70s, the brigade only attended local fires and occasionally supported the neighbouring Terry Hills and Ingleside brigades. In those days, hazard reductions were a rare occurrence. By '69, the brigade's Austin tanker had been replaced by a 1942 Blitz tanker. It was 4-wheel drive and carried 500 gallons of water. During the same year, membership steadily grew, with Kay Watts becoming senior deputy captain. In 1970, Billy Brand became the new captain, and he soon noted that the brigade's ability to respond to calls was hindered due to the limitations of their old truck. A new tanker was a necessity, and it was eagerly awaited by the entire brigade. The new tanker finally arrived in late 1975. It was a 1965 AB-160 International, known as Goldilocks. It was capable of higher speeds and was far more comfortable than the Blitz. Under a new captain and with their newer truck, the brigade was able to respond to more fire calls and drive further afield. In late 1977, Tumble was sent to the Blue Mountains for 3 days to assist with the disastrous fires there. Tumble's captain at this time was Keith Bennett. In December 1979, large fires hit Warringah. 85% of the Shire went up in flames. All brigades and volunteers fought courageously. During these fires, Kay Bennett and 3 crew members were caught in French's Forest away from their tanker with fire all around them. Amazingly, they survived. The fires were over after 4 days and losses included 14 houses and the Tumble Brigade's outhouse. The shed was also damaged. The crew had just 1 day's rest before they were dispatched to the Blue Mountains for 3 days, returning on Christmas Day 1979.
All units on the Black Range Trail from VL to KL. The fire has now crossed the Harries River Trail and is burning below you.
In the early 80s, a plan was made for a new fire station. After much pushing by Kay Bennett and others, the monies were finally made available and the building commenced in 1983. The station was mainly built by the volunteers themselves, with much of the materials being donated by local enterprises. The station wasn't completed until 1985. The new station was opened officially by the councillor Darren Jones on March 18, 1985. The same year, the brigade was also issued a 1975 Toyota short wheelbase personnel carrier. In 1986, the brigade's captain, Keith Bennett, was elected as Deputy Group Captain of the Shire, and he was replaced as captain by George Shepherd at the next annual general meeting. The brigade continued to grow and become very competitive at the district field days, being overall winners 6 years running from 1987.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've endeavoured to do a recount and get this fixed, but it hasn't worked. And the 1988 Field A is TumbleDown Dick. First prize in the 5-person portable pub event, TumbleDown Dick. And first place, TumbleDown Dick. TumbleDown Duck. I can't read it, I think it says TumbleDown Dick. First place has with it a sense of enormous deja vu because we were all here doing this last year. TumbleDown Dick.
Can I say that it's tremendous that TumbleDown Dick and any brigade like it has come forward. I think it's the first time I can remember that a brigade has won so many events in a field day.
Over the years, the crews of TumbleDown Dick Brigade attended many incidents, including the Ningan floods in April 1990, which caused $7 billion worth of damage. The Gosford and Warringah fires, where tumble crews were positioned at Allambie, Elanora and Killarney Heights.
Ingleside 1, into the end, past the shops in Allambie, into right round the back, Grigor Street it is, and into the Churchill Parade, and make it fast. Copy that.
Following months of vegetation growth, the dry spell has left New South Wales facing a once-in-a-decade bushfire danger.
Davidson 1 and Terry 1, could you both please respond to Allambie Road, Allambie Heights?
Davidson 1 responding, crew of 5, officer in charge, Captain Jeff Crew.
Terry 1, copy. Shit, it's gone behind us now, hang on.
ABC chopper to group captain.
You go ahead.
Yeah, Keith, you had a large spot fire just before that trail comes out on this side of the tennis courts.
Group captain, group 1. You go ahead. Yeah, which one? Oh, I see what he's talking about. Okay, I'll get these other units as they come down into there. Thing is down up there, there's a big fireball there. Now I can see it.
That's the one.
Base Ingleside 1, red, additional unit to Roosevelt Avenue, please. Base Ingleside 1, red.
The sub one.
Right, we have the tennis club's caught alight now, assistance required.
You know where the tennis club is?
Yeah, mate, we're right here. Meet up with Ingleside.
Cottage 1, when available, can you help Ingleside 1 at the tennis courts? They have them alight, over.
Yes, we'll do that, over.
ASAP, please. Base Ingleside 5.
Ingleside 5.
Ingleside 5, can you respond up to Terry Hill?
Just wondering if there's rescue squad or someone around with a chainsaw. If they could approach the residence, there's a few banana trees he'd like lopped. That'd ease it for him so he can get straight in and straight out.
How you feel? Hello. Let me sit up. Mouth.
The 1990 fires in Warringah were ferocious, but they were nothing compared to what lay ahead.
A fire emergency grips suburban Sydney as the state erupts with a shocking new outbreak of bushfires. Good evening. Bushfire panic reached the streets of Sydney today as New South Wales faces its worst fire emergency in 50 years.
I've got another confession to make.
The 1994 fires were possibly the biggest the Rural Fire Service had ever seen. The local area was hit hard. Tumble kicked off its commitment in Grafton during late December 93, then Spencer in January, seeing crews totally surrounded and cut off by fire. Lane Cove on the 6th and 7th, where over 20 homes were lost in Albert Drive, and a tumble crew entered a burning house to successfully rescue an unconscious man, only to respond straight back to a fire in Mona Vale.
I needed somewhere to hang my head without your news. You gave me something that I didn't have, but had no use. I was too weak to give in, too strong
there was no prospect of rain, and New South Wales waited for the worst the fires could bring. The calm of the night was to be shattered by the ferocity of the firestorm. At Macquarie Park along the Lane Cove River, the fire started the previous day, reignited and spread eastwards into the gully below West Killara. By 5 p.m, the fire was threatening houses on Albert Drive, Fittons Wharf and Carramar Roads before spreading further and damaging the Linfield College of Advanced Education. More houses were destroyed in Killara, Turramurra, Ingleside, Pymble, Roseville and Wahroonga. Fires broke out at Cottage Point, fanned out northeast towards Elvina Bay, Church Point and Bayview. On another front, the same fire spread southwest towards Terry Hills and southeast towards Mona Vale Road. Sydney goes up in flames as bushfires scale frightening new heights. Homeowners forced to abandon all in the most devastating crisis in memory. Saturday, January 8th. Bushfire disaster grips the state and the weather still shows no sign of changing. Temperatures once again in the high 30s, humidity still only 9% and wind speeds gusting to a terrifying 76 kilometres per hour. In Sydney's Upper North Shore, disaster. 15 houses lost in Bayview and Ingleside. By the end of the day, 32 houses would be destroyed. Hundreds of people were evacuated.
Where's your car, sir?
In Lane Cove, a fire burning between Delhi and Epping Roads jumped the Lane Cove River and headed for Chatswood. It was burning with such intensity that it was causing spot fires 500 metres ahead of the fire front. At 7 kilometres, this was the closest the fire ever got to the centre of Sydney. It took a massive firefighting effort, but by 1:30 p.m, the fire was under control. At 1 in the morning, the Ku-ring-gai fire had spread eastwards towards Bayview, forcing police to evacuate hundreds. In all, the fire swept through Cottage Point, Ingleside, Terry Hills, Eleanora Heights, Narrabeen, Collaroy, Bayview, Elvina Bay and Lovett Bay. 36 homes were destroyed and another 57 damaged.
During the 8th of January, Tumble manned over 6 vehicles, including Tumble 1, HQ1, Tumble PC with tanker trailer and Terry Peck's water cart. There were also firefighters with knapsacks and Tumble Station was manned around the clock. Crews were also boated into West Pittwater to assist the water brigades there. During this period, 100% of Tumble's resources and members were committed to the disaster 24 hours a day. In the end, the local area lost 35 homes, while in the valley, 1 house, a caravan and several sheds were lost.
Flare-ups through the late morning and afternoon swept the fires once again towards residential property. On the northern beaches, and despite large-scale backburning, the fire jumped the Wakehurst Parkway at Oxford Falls. Houses in Morgan Road and Forest Way were evacuated. As the blaze moved northwest, suburb after suburb was put on fire alert at Duffy's Forest, St Ives, North Turramurra, North Wahroonga, Asquith and Mount Colah. The Warringah fire was not finally subdued until January 13th. For the firefighters, the work was by no means over. Over the next 4 days, they continued to fight the hundreds of blazes still remaining around the state. Each day, yet more fires would flare up, but one by one, the fires were contained. And as each fire was contained and then extinguished, firefighters started the mopping up, ensuring that no ember was left alight. At midnight on January 14th, the bushfire crisis was declared over. The fires of '94 claimed 4 lives. At least 800 fires burnt through the state in 15 days. The fires burnt an estimated 800,000 hectares. 205 houses were destroyed. Another 200 houses were damaged. Some 20,000 men and women worked to fight the fires. They used 1,426 fire units and water tankers, 60 bulldozers and 84 aircraft. 24,831 people were officially evacuated from their homes. Many thousands of others left their homes voluntarily. The toll could have been so much worse. To the men and women who fought the fires, thank you.
Over these years, members came and left, with Andrew Veach stepping in as captain in mid-94. Then Jodie Creed taking over in 97 as the district's first and only female brigade captain. On the evening of Wednesday, April 14th, 1999, a freak storm cell unleashed its fury on the city of Sydney's inner and eastern suburbs, damaging thousands of houses and cars and earning itself the title of Australia's costliest natural disaster. The clean-up and repair was a mammoth task, with the RFS committing more than 5,000 members to the 25 days of Operation Autumn Storm. Naturally, when Tumble received the call, there was no hesitation to lend its services. Tumble was also committed to operations at Wallandilly in '99, the Sydney Olympics in 2000 as fire support, the 2000 fires in Walker, Glen Innes and Manly Dam. During the Black Christmas fires of 2001-2002, Tumble responded to operations in Helensburgh, Darks Forest and Macquarie Pass, and spent New Year's Eve at Cordo Dam, then operations in the Shoalhaven. Late 2002 saw major fires in Glenorrey, Canoelands and Barowra, where Tumble spent 5 solid days and nights.
Right on, Terry 1 copy, go 7. Back to 1 for drive, get out and have a look at this. Thanks for letting me know when you're alone. We're on! Which side? Hold on! Back through, mate. Block riding beats. Stay! Stop! Get out of here! Get out of fire! Just let him get close, that chicken soup. Oh no, don't worry about it, don't worry. The chicken's out? No, they're staying in there. Yep. Ready to rock steady. Ready to rock steady.
Also in 2002, the fires at Singleton and Cessnock. To wrap up the year of 2002, crews were sent on Stargs to the Snowy Mountains and the destructive Canberra fires, where over 500 homes were lost. More locally, there was the Ellis Trigg fire in 2004.
This will be an uncertain time for us, my love. I can hear the echo of your voice in my head, singing my love. I can see your face there in my hands, my love. I've been blessed by your grace and care, my love, singing my love. There's a place for us, sitting here waiting for the sun.
The Allambie Heights fires in December of 2005.
Into the safe arms that I know.
All stations, the weather at Firecom at 12:05 hours. Temperature 39.7 degrees. Humidity 30.7%. Wind is from the west-northwest, 17 gusting to 36 kph, and the FDI is 22.5, which is high. Firecom clear.
January 1st, 2006 saw record temperatures of 46 degrees in Sydney. It also saw huge fires take off in Gosford.
Number one.
Can you respond to Gosford Control Centre?
See you later. Have fun.
This year was set to be a big one for New South Wales, with the high temperatures and dried bush due to a long spell of drought. Thankfully, it didn't take off as the rains finally came. Many faces have come and gone from the brigade over the years. The brigade has had some challenging times, and after all the hard work, the crews wound down the best way they knew.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Blue eyes, baby's got blue eyes.
It's something unpredictable.
Now in 2006, the brigade is ably led by Richard Bowmans, captain since the year 2000. He's supported by Senior Deputy Captain Murray Lowe and 5 other deputies. We have 49 members and await the delivery of a new Isuzu dual-cab 4-wheel drive tanker. This year we celebrate 40 years of this wonderful brigade and will willingly serve our community for many more years to come. A big thanks to all who have been involved with TumbleDown Dick Rural Fire Brigade.
But just don't ask them why they do it.
Oh, mate. Well, you know, it's the Australian thing to do, I suppose. I don't know how to answer a question like that.